Welcome back to In Class with Miss Smith. Today's topic is mental and emotional disorders. There is a lot of controversy and a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to mental and emotional disorders. Some people think that problems such as depression is a part of a person's personality, but it is actually an illness that needs to be treated just as any other physical illness that we may encounter. You may wonder what causes mental emotional disorders. It can be caused by a great variety of things. I'll give you a few of them. A disorder may be caused by genetics. So it's something that's passed down from one family member to another. Having too much or too little of certain chemicals in the brain, so there's a chemical imbalance. Physical injury, such as a blow to the head. So this can be from activities such as sports, it can be from accidents such as a car accident, or from any type of trauma or violent event. And last but not least, life experiences. As I just said, resulting from violent stress or even the loss of a loved one. We are going to focus on different types of mental illnesses. So the four main types, we have mood, personality, schizophrenia, and anxiety. And we will go over different examples of those different types of disorders in the following slides. Anxiety disorders. There are several common types of anxiety disorders. Some that are very familiar and people talk about them often. OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. We have PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder. And there are a few others that are listed here. You guys will get the opportunity to research some of these disorders and get a more in-depth feel on what they are and also some of the characteristics that people have if they actually have these disorders. A lot of times when we hear names such as OCD or PTSD, it's used incorrectly. So we're going to make sure that we are very clear in understanding of the characteristics of these disorders and how to go about being properly diagnosed. Another category or type of mental emotional disorder are mood disorders. Emotions that are extreme and last a long time may be a sign of a mood disorder. There are two main types of mood disorders, and they are depression and bipolar depression. These can be very confusing, but to make it very simple, depression, um, if you use the D to help you remember, think of the D standing for down. So when a person is dealing with depression, more than likely they are have a deep feeling, a long period of time of feeling down. Bipolar disorder, bi meaning two, bipolar means that a person has two extremes. So when a person is dealing with bipolar depression or bipolar disorder, they have extreme bouts of feeling down and they have extreme bouts of having this extreme high. That high can be hyper, that high can be extremely angry, that high can be extremely happy. The thing is, the thing to remember is it's two sides of extreme. The next category of mental emotional disorders we will discuss is personality disorders. People with personality disorders find it very difficult to relate or to get along with others. There are three types of these disorders, and they are paranoia, antisocial, and dependent personality disorder. The one I want to focus on the most is antisocial. So that's something that is used very commonly, and most times it's being used incorrectly. Um, for example, people like to brag about being antisocial, but in actuality, the disorder of being antisocial isn't that a person doesn't want to interact with others. They really have an inability to interact with others. And it's because they may come off as being awkward, or they just don't know how to communicate in a normal setting around people. And so much so that they may have anxiety when it comes to interacting and being in a space around others. And then the other, dependent personality disorder, this one stands out to me and I want to share. It's more so with uncomfortable relationships where, for example, you may have a someone who's in a violent relationship where there is physical violence involved. And the first thing that people may ask is, why do they continue to be together or stay together if there's clearly violence involved? And a lot of times, that dependency to have a person around is what keeps the individual in those unhealthy relationships. So that is actually not just a want or something that they can't control. It's actually one of the personality disorders, dependent personality disorder. Schizophrenia is in a category of its own. This is a type of mental emotional disorder that causes people to often have delusions. They may also hallucinate or imagine that something is happening that really isn't. They hear voices, and they actually see people and things that are not, or who are not actually there. Um, there are medications to treat this type of disorder, but a lot of times people who suffer from this disorder end up in a life of crime or in trouble because they truly believe that the things that the voices they hear or the things that they see are real, and it's hard to differentiate reality from their disorder. So it is important that we learn about these things, but we're not doctors. Some of you may be doctors in the future, but right now you are just an adolescent or a teen who is going about your day to day activities. So I don't need you to be able to diagnose someone with these mental emotional disorders, but you could be a help to help someone identify that they may need help with this, with their mental emotional health. So there are some signs that you can use to let you know if a person or yourself may truly need help. If you notice someone is feeling sad for long periods of time, if you notice someone not participating in their regular activities, or if they suddenly become distant from their friends or family, you notice changes in their eating habits, meaning they're now eating way more than usual, or they're eating way less than usual, or not at all. The same thing with sleep. If they are excessively or sleeping way too much, or if they are having a hard time sleeping, these are just a few signs to show that someone may be dealing with a mental emotional um, disorder or need mental emotional support. So you may be wondering, okay, Ms. Smith, if we can't diagnose them because we're not doctors, what can we do if we realize someone is having this going on, those signs going on, you want to refer them to someone who can help. So have them talk to a trusting adult, or you can talk to a trusting adult to let them know what you've noticed that has changed. You can refer them to a school counselor, or you can talk to a school counselor. Um, that trusting adult or counselor may refer them to a therapist. Your pediatrician can even be helpful if you are experiencing any of these things. There is also the mental health hotline. If you don't feel comfortable talking to someone that you know, you can call or text the hotline, and it is totally anonymous, and you can get help from a professional, and they don't have to know who you are. And you can also join support groups with people who may be experiencing similar things, and you guys have a professional to help you along the way. And you do this by not feeling alone. Um, I'm sorry. You do this by not feeling alone and having someone there that can relate to what you're going through as well. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Your assignments for your class projects on mental health will be in teams. Sixth graders, you guys will be creating flyers on how someone can get support when possibly dealing with a mental health issue. Eighth graders, you all are going to choose a particular mental emotional disorder, and you are going to research that disorder and gather some very important information. Go to Teams, log and read the directions for your assignment and projects, and I will see you guys in class.